With the 2022 season coming to an end, focus has now shifted to 2023. The Abu Dhabi postseason test drives hinted at what next season's cars are going to look like. With a few regulation changes scheduled to take effect in 2023 after the 2022 technical regulation changes, the big question remains: what changes is going to be in the 2023 cars? Today, we're going to look at the changes for the 2023 Formula One cars. To begin, there's going to be changes in the floor design. The FIA initially wanted to increase the floor edge's height by 25mm in order to combat porpoising. However, this was decreased to 15mm after teams that had already dealt with the issue protested the change. Mercedes, unlike all of the other teams in the grid, was unable to tackle this porpoising issue, resulting in poor performance, which contributed to the FIA's decision to make the change. This angered the rest of the teams, who felt like the FIA was intervening for a one-team problem that all of the teams with porpoising problems had to do was increase their car height. With the new height, all most of the teams have to do is just adjust the ride height lower. The car's diffuser throat will be expanded so as to make the car's underside more tolerant to fluctuations in dynamic ride height. There will also be more sensors to accurately measure porpoising. With these changes, the airflow towards the rear tire is going to be redirected, altering the downwash with the aim of getting more of the downwash onto the diffuser. A 5mm vertical deflection will be allowed in both directions from the current 8 and 12mm deviations upwards and downwards, respectively. Limited deflection and higher floor edges will make it harder for the teams to seal the cars underneath, and thus, it'll be more difficult to physically seal the venture tunnel for ambient air pressure. Next, fuel temperature changes. Following the fuel temperature issues that arose several times during the 2022 season, the FIA tweaked the fuel temperature rules. Red Bull was the hardest team hit on the grid by this issue, forcing Max Verstappen to retire early during races. In the season's first races, the fuel temperature in 2022 wasn't supposed to be colder than 20 degrees Celsius. Now in 2023, the fuel temperature mustn't be colder than 10 degrees Celsius below the ambient temperature. The ambient temperature will be recorded 1 hour prior to the practice session or 3 hours prior to the race by a weather service chosen by the FIA. In 2023, an overall minimum fuel temperature of 10 degrees Celsius will apply during cold weather. This change will benefit the teams next season because the volume of fuel will reduce and thus more fuel will be used to accommodate in the car's fuel tanks. In addition to that, the engines will run more efficiently than in 2022 when fed with cold fuel. This might have less of an impact on the car's overall speed, but it will be vital for the 2023 season. Moving on, there's going to be a new tire compound and changes in the use of tires during qualifying. An additional tire will be there for the next year for Pirelli to use in each race. In addition, a new tire compound has been added to the hard compound tires, making them even harder. During 2 qualifying sessions next year, drivers will be required to use specific tire types during each part of the session as a test. In 2023, drivers will get 4 sets of soft compound tires instead of the previous 8 this year. The number of medium and hard tires will be increased from 3 to 4. A different tire compound will be used during each stage of the 2 qualifying sessions. In Quarter 1, it is the hard tire. In Quarter 2, the medium tire, and in Quarter 3, the soft tire. This will see a reduction in the total number of tire sets allowed during a race weekend from 13 to 11. These tests are meant to evaluate how an entire reduction in tire allocation during races is going to impact the grid, with the intention of moving to more sustainable tire use in the future. All of these efforts being made are a move towards making Formula One more environmentally friendly. The FIA claims that the 2021 Belgian Grand Prix controversy has left a dent on Formula One. So what happened that weekend? Due to wet conditions on the track, the 44-lap race was forced to end on the 3rd lap. Motivated by the desire to prevent a repeat of this, the FIA proposed the addition of arches on the wheels. The move is aimed at creating a standard specification of wheel arches to be fitted to cars to aid with wet weather racing. The current F1 cars displace the water underneath the tires as they move on the track, forcing the water out and up behind the car. An enormous amount of spray is produced as a result, blinding the drivers, blinding the lead car, and thus making it difficult to race. This has become an issue only recently because F1's past generation cars didn't produce the same amounts of downforce, or amounts anywhere near what the current cars produce. These changes are expected to be introduced as early as the second half of next season, after a suitable design has been produced, agreed upon by the teams, and track testing on the cars has been done. Is this a good sign that we could witness a return of popular Formula One wet weather racing? Next up, there's going to be roll bar modifications. At the British Grand Prix, Alfa Romeo's Zhou Guanyu's car crashed during the opening lap. The car rolled frighteningly, went into the gravel trap before jumping over the tire barrier and into the catch fencing. This caused the roll bar's pointed end to dig into the track and break off the car, and failing to withstand the impact of the crash. Zhao, however, was lucky to escape with only a few bruises, all thanks to the halo doing its job, which prompted the FIA to recommend modifications to how the roll bars are designed to avoid similar outcomes during such crashes in the future. Roll bars have now been made with a rounded top and must have the ability to endure greater loads, as well as a 15G collision impact with the ground. In addition, it must be able to withstand both forward and rearward forces. It was evident that an update to the requirements for the roll hoops was needed after the crash of Zhao Guanyu at Silverstone. FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem said, "Going on, rearview mirrors will be modified. Rearview mirrors will be modified next year so as to increase safety on the track, as directed by the FIA. The mirrors will play a key role in the driver's ability to drive and decide on how the car behaves on the track. However, the mirrors provide very little advantage to the car's aerodynamics and are much of a bother because they cause a lot of challenges. Aerodynamicists even go to the extent of sacrificing the driver's ability to see what's happening on the track so as to control the aerodynamic influences and inefficiencies caused by the mirrors. In 2023, the cars will have larger mirrors to help with the blind spots, which will improve the driver's visibility, but they will now be able to defend themselves better from attacks. Currently, the mirror's position is fixed, but teams can work on the housing of the mirrors to gain any advantage they can. Aston Martin tested a new mirror at the Dutch Grand Prix, demonstrating that mirror housing is not an easy solution to bring. Formula One is also working on a way to introduce rear-view cameras on the car with an in-car screen in the cockpit for the future. What do you think about the in-car screen? Share your thoughts on this in the comment section below. In the 2023 season, the car's minimum weight will be reduced from 798 kilograms in 2022 to 796 kilograms. This season, the car's minimum weight was increased, making most of the teams on the grid have a hard time getting their cars to 798 kilograms. An infuriated Alfa Romeo actually had to add weight to their car in order to make it reach the minimum weight. Other teams even went to the extent of running their cars on bare carbon fiber after they stripped paint off the cars in order to try and lose weight. Now, with the car weight dropping, there's more to expect next year for the teams to try and confirm this rule. On the other hand, teams that experienced a lot of hardships as they tried to get their cars to the 2022 minimum weight welcomed the revised 2023 car weight with joy. With all these changes, especially the use of different tire sets and the increased ride height for every team, the battlefield's going to be even more level in 2023. Ferrari and Mercedes will be much more competitive than they were this year. All we have to do now is wait to see the cars as they hit the track in 2023 with these changes. We're going to witness much closer battles between these top 3 teams on the grid. But do you agree? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Unfortunately, that does mark the end of our video for today, so just make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more great F1 content. Until next time, a cheers.